Alright, here we got the BF109E version. This is the plane that Jack just built. He's already flown it. He's already got that test part done to it. I said, so you know what? I said, Jack, why don't you build another one that I could use just to paint up, and maybe I'll make a video and people will like the video of how I paint it up. So I'm going to give this a try. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. I'm sure there'll be some ideas that I really like and some things I might fail on, but I want to give it a try, see what happens. I'll record it all so maybe you guys can get some ideas on how you want to paint your plane too. But so I'm going to try to make it look from this, like this, to this. Alright, let's go. Alright, so before we even get started here, I want to measure the weight of this. And let's see, I got my scale here. Let's turn this on and let's see how much this weighs here before we find out what the paint, how much paint it's going to weigh. Let's see, hold on. Let's get that to 0 again. Alright, what do we got here? Alright, we got 272 grams, so that's pretty light. This thing is super light, so we can put a lot of paint and stuff on here without worrying about it not performing because it's too heavy. So we are going to weigh that at the end of the video, and we're going to see how much paint goes on there and see how it affects the flying. But I think it'll be better if anything. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do on this thing first, I took some sample. Some wings from another plane I'm trying to build, but I put some pencil marks on here and made rivets and stuff, so I don't know if you can see that in there, but I put some pencil. I'm going to do that around the whole plane. And you might have noticed on here, I did it on the tail already. So I did that just to because I thought it'd be easier to do before we built it, because it'd be easier. That's a little hard to do on the smaller pieces, but yeah, so that's already done. So I'm going to go all around here, put panel lines on here, put rivets and all that kind of stuff, and that's what I'm going to do next. Alright? Okay, so you're probably wondering how I'm going to put these panel lines on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually draw it on pencil on the foam board. So what I did was I went out and I went on the internet and I found a bunch of different drawings that had all the different panel lines on the plane that I want to do here, and I got a bunch of different ideas. They're all different though, so I picked the ones I like, and I think this is the one I like a lot, so which is this one here. I like the way that looks. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to use that one as the main one, and I'll try to use the other ones if I need to. So what I'm going to do is I already started this off a little bit. If you can see, I kind of drew some panel lines on there already. I did it lightly so it doesn't indent the plane yet, but just gotta tell you too, if you make a mistake while you're doing this, do not use your pencil eraser on this and erase it really hard, because it will indent the foam board, because it's very fragile and it'll just indent it, and you don't want to do that. So just go over it lightly, and whenever you draw the panel lines on there lightly, don't press too hard until you know where you want to do it. So that's what I'm going to do now. Some of the tools I like to use are just a ruler, straight ruler, I'm just going to use that. And if you get yourself a flexible straight edge somehow, you can do that, because you want to be able to go around the edges here and make sure you can bend it. Because if you're doing a panel line on here and you've got the ruler like that, it's just going to stick up all the edges like that, and you don't want that. You want something that can go from here, and you can curve it around and keep it flat. So when you draw the lines, it'll stay tight to the surface. So, all right. So I'm going to do one here. Let's see. I'll start here, and this is one of the leading edge flaps. So I'm going to draw it here, and this is a 0.5 lead. I used the 0.7 one time, and I thought the lines were too thick on a sample piece. So I'm just going to draw that on there pretty hard. You want to draw it just hard enough where you can almost hear the foam board paper starting to break a little bit. So you want to put an indentation in there. go over it a few times, get that indentation good in there. And if you tear the surface of the paper, it's alright. Don't worry about it. But you want that good indentation. I don't know if you see that or not, but that's a good one there. So, and I'll do some of these here. I can hear the paper tearing a little bit, which is good. That's what you want. Alright. And I'll do it here. So, I'm going to find out which one this circle was here. Not sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to have you watch me do this whole thing like this now, so I'm just going to continue this. I'll come back to you a little bit, and maybe we'll start doing the fuselage after that, because you got to do some certain stuff with that too as well. So I'll be back. Alright, so I finished up the panel lines on the wings, and I really liked the way they came out, and then I got really excited, and I started working on the panel lines on the fuselage, and I told you I was going to work on that and show you how it was done. So I'll show you the process about how I did it, and maybe I'll show you the panel lines first, just to see what I'm talking about. So here they are. Let's see if they show up in the video. So I really like that. And that's the panel line on the fuselage that I started there. So I'll show you what I did. So what I do is I take the formers that go on the outside there, and I got to draw on here, and I got to follow the shape of the panels here, because if you do just straight lines, it's going to give a curve to it that you don't like, and you're not going to want that. So you got to kind of keep the shape of the curve of the piece that's going over the fuselage. So I drew all those, and I did that for the back piece as well. And then I created these from that, and these pieces are going to go on top of this here. So I'm going to put these on top, and they're going to go like right here. I'll use that as a guide to draw those panels. I'll tape them on, and I'll use that to draw those straight lines. So I'll have that one, and then I'll take this one, and I'll do this one as well, draw those straight lines. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do the other side and get those panels drawn. Alright. So I finished the panel lines, or did I? I'd like to do this other feature to it, which in honor of my friend Josh Orchard, he likes to do crazy scale stuff, and I'm going to do this. If he can do it, I can do it. So if you guys can see that, the panel lines there, it's got a bunch of, you know, with rivets and all that stuff in there. So I'm going to do stuff like that. So how about that, Josh? I can do that too, I guess. So I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to go and add it. So what I did here is I took a little piece of blue tape, and I marked it every 4 millimeters, and I put it along the edge of this. I'm going to show you here. So just like that. Let's see. I want to get it tight to the panel line. So now I have an area where I can mark that. Okay, so what I do, I'm just going to take my pencil here and just make little marks. Let's see. And push it in nice and tight so it makes an indentation in the paper. And do that. So that's what I'm going to do along the whole plane. At least on the wing, I think. I think it'll look pretty cool on the wing. Alright, so that's how it's done. I'm not going to have you watch me again, so I'm going to keep doing this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, and that's it. I'll be back. Alright, so I'm finishing this part of the rivets up here, and Josh, if you were watching this video, you're a madman, because this is crazy. And for the record, the way Josh does this is that he'll take a toothpick and he'll dip the toothpick in a little thing of glue and make glue dots. So I'm actually making an indentation into the paper here, whereas Josh would be putting a little dot of glue on there, and it would make it an upper. It would be on top of the paper like that. So it's a different type of indentation or rivet, but it's pretty cool the way he does it too, and it makes it look. But this is the way I'm doing it, and that's the way I'm going to do it. So, and if you guys don't follow Josh, you got to look him up. It's Joshua Orchard on YouTube, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff online and shows you all the tips and tricks that he does, and he does a lot of stuff to Dubro products. So I would definitely watch that guy, because he's got a lot of good info for free, and he's always helpful. And if you ever see him in real life, talk to him, because he's a great guy to talk to. I was just a normal guy. My son and I were, really excited to see him at one of the air shows we went to, and we started talking to him, and now he's just a good friend. And that's what you got to do in this hobby, guys. You got to talk to people and just get to know them. And to be honest, guys, I don't know much about RC stuff, but I do like to do. I like the building stuff. I like to do all the building stuff, and that's the fun stuff to do. But come talk to us. It's what the whole hobby's about. Just meeting people and getting to talk about interesting things we like to do together, and that's how you get a lot of good friends in this hobby, and you get a lot of good info. So come talk to us. Go look Joshua Orchard up on his YouTube channel and follow him. So, okay, so I am done with this part of the project. I think it came out really cool. I don't know if you can see here. See the way that looks. I'll probably put in that camera if it doesn't work. But I did it on the bottom as well. So, and I got to put some pieces on here yet. I got to do that yet. But okay, so the next part of my project here, I'm going to round the edges off here of the foam board, and I'm going to use a hot iron for that. And let me get that out, and I'll show you how that's done. Alright, so I've got my monocoat iron here ready. I have it on high heat. So I showed this demonstration once before, and I don't know the guy's name, where I saw it on the forums, or where he did this, and it was an awesome idea, and I apologize that I don't know his name, but he's showed me this idea, and I thought it was awesome. So you've got all these hard edges on here, and I'll show you what I do. You got this thing, and you kind of go over the edges really slowly, and you kind of get used to it, after doing it for a while, but you get it, and you want to round these edges off. Let's see how this works. You just slowly go over it. It's going to melt the foam underneath and give it a rounded edge. It makes it look so much nicer. I did this for something before, like for a AMA website or something too, but they really liked it too. But look at that. See how it gives it softens the edge up a little bit more, instead of having such a hard edge from the laser cut. So that looks pretty cool. I like that. And you can hold it on there longer, and it'll melt the foam even more. But there's a balance of doing too much and too little. So, but that's looking pretty good. I like that way that looks. It also hardens the foam, so it gives it a bit more strength. Okay. All right, I'm gonna flip it over, do the other side. Alright, that looks pretty good. I like that. See that? So now, look how that looks now. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Alright, now the other side. Do the same thing. right, I'm going to show you another trick here. I don't know if this is going to happen, if it's going to work, but we'll see. You notice this here. I'll show that camera, but you see that? It's got a little tear. The paper's starting to come up off the foam. There's a little trick I kind of learned. You can kind of go on top of here with the hot iron. Excuse me. And then you can, it almost glues it back down. Yeah, it seems to work there. So that, you put the hot iron above that, and it kind of glues it back down. So if you accidentally pull the paper off of there, you put the hot iron on top of it, and it glues the paper right back down on top of it. So whenever you peel it off, don't feel too bad, because you can go back and fix it. So that's a, as Bob Ross would say, that's a happy little mistake. So I discovered that one time, and like that worked out pretty good. So now that's back down. It's being held down there, so that's good. Just a little trick for you. Okay, now I'm going to do the back side here along here. So this back tail section, I'm going to do the same thing. See how all the edges are really sharp there? I'm going to do the same thing here and mold it. Alright, I'll get back to you guys because I'm not going to have you watch me do this whole time, but I'll be back. Okay, so I finished up the rounding of the edges, and it came out really cool. And I think I screwed up with the camera angle from this side, but not over here. So, you know, I'm not going to get the view from the last episode from there. But hopefully you caught some good stuff from here. But look at that, how the back side looks now. It looks pretty cool. I like that. I did the other edge of the wing. I also did the trailing edge over here, which I don't usually do the trailing edges, but I like the way they came out, so maybe I'll start doing that again. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do from here is I'm going to put some polyurethane over the whole thing, because that's what people do. I guess they put the, so this is going to be what I'm going to use. Some fast drying polyurethane. This is going to be clear satin. So I did some other experimental ones with some of these here. If you notice, this is one of them, and this is one without the paint, or the polyurethane, and this is stuff with polyurethane. So look at the difference, it's pretty yellow. So I'm hoping that doesn't affect the final progress, because it's all going to be covered in paint on the end, and hopefully it doesn't affect it. But so that's my next step. I'm going to paint that and get that done, and we'll see how much weight that adds to it. So, alright, that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to start putting some paint on here. I'm just going to use the polyurethane. I'm going to put and it's got to be the oil-based stuff, guys. I guess the water-based is not the good stuff to use. So I got Minwax fast drying polyurethane clear satin, and it's oil-based, so it's going to stink pretty good too. So, all right. I'm going to do the bottom side first. I'm going to try. You want to do it as light as you can, I think, but. I just got some cheap brushes. I got them at a discount store. These things are like a buck a piece or something, so I can use them and throw them out. But probably have a few horse hairs in the paint, but that's all right. Gives it character, right? I'm telling you what, Adam's board. If you guys want to call me and talk to me, I've got plenty of ideas for foam board. I'd love to give you some ideas on how I'd like to make the foam board. There's plenty of things that I could do that I would do differently. But I got some ideas on what I'd like. And just so you know, guys, this is Dollar Tree foam board. I never mentioned that, but this is the stuff you get at Dollar Tree, and you get it. You can buy it right there at the store, Dollar Tree store, and just get it. This is exactly what we used. And it's good stuff. But like I said before, I would change it up a little bit. I got some different ideas, and I'd love to talk to them. But what I think is important in foam board. So if you want Adam's foam board, call me, text me, email me, something. Alright, so this isn't as fast drying as I want it to be, so I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow and finish this up on the other side because it's my bedtime and I need to go to sleep. So I'll get back to this tomorrow. See ya. Okay, so I let it sit overnight and now I got to paint it today. So I got to flip it over and paint the other side. Alright, that was probably the fastest painting you'll ever see of a plane. How about that? Alright, so I'm going to let that dry and we'll get ready for the next step. Alright, see ya. Alright, so the next step on this is a technique that I've kind of watched a lot of plastic model makers do. They use, they do an undercoating of black paint and they lighten up the panels with some white paint, but I am only going to do like black. I'm going to cover some black. Actually I'm going to use Rust-Oleum black right there, and this is flat, I believe, so. But I'm going to go along the panel lines and stuff and just go cover it up with some black paint, because when you do the coating of the regular color up top, it's going to look like it's faded in between the lines and the panels and give it an old, like a used, like a weathered look. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll see how it goes. I've never done this before, and we'll see how it goes. So what I did is I actually sprayed a lot of this in, I sprayed this can here in a cup of here, and I mixed it with a little bit of paint thinner to thin it out a little bit more. But we'll see how it goes. I've never done it before, and we'll see how it goes. So, let me put this in here. Yeah, it's getting already sticky and dry, so. Oh, I gotta turn the compressor back on. Might be a bad camera angle, but I'm trying to show you what I'm doing here. It just dripped in a bad spot. Alright, so that's how it's done. I don't think I did too bad of a job. I think, well, I gotta fix that there too. But yeah, so I made a few mistakes, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of this stuff is going to be covered up with the paint on top of it, so it's just kind of to give a faded, weathered look when you're done with it anyway. So, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it helps. So this is kind of the bottom, and this is the top. Let's see how it goes. I'm pretty happy with that, though. I'm excited. Alright, until next time, we'll see ya. Alright, now we got the underpainting done. Let's move on and make a decision on how we're going to paint this thing, what style. So I am going to paint this thing by a pilot. His name was Heinz Barr, and go figure, his number on his plane was 13. So, sorry, we like to paint planes at number 13 for 13th Squadron. So, if you got a plane with number 13 on it, we're probably going to paint it somehow. But let me show you what I'm going to do. Alright, let me show you on a computer, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright guys, you ready? Let's see, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, that's what the plane's going to look like. Let's see, I'll go through a couple more images. So that's what I'm going to try to make the plane look like with some paints. All Krylon and some Rust-Oleum. So I don't have any preference between which paints to use. I think they're both good. I think Krylon has better colors. Rust-Oleum is just as good with paint quality, but they're both good. I don't think it matters which one you use. Alright, so that's what I'm going to try to make it look like, guys. And I hope it comes out looking that nice. But that's the plan. Alright, so these are the paints I'm going to use. Let's see. Right, there you go. So we've got Matte Wild Honey for Krylon, Matte Spanish Moss, and Sage for Rust-Oleum, and Catalina Mist for that, and Satin. These are all satin, and I think that's going to be good for the for a scale look too. But that's what I'm going to do, and let's see what we can do next. Alright, I'll talk to you in a little bit. See ya. Alright, so I got so excited about getting ready to paint this thing, I forgot a really important step, and that step is to cover up the foam. Anything exposed foam that needs to be covered up with something to protect it from when you use rattle can spray from Rust-Oleum or Krylon or anything from there. But I guess, I don't know, it's not necessarily the paint that deteriorates the foam, but I think it's the propellant in the can itself that does it, so you have to protect the foam, otherwise it gets eaten up and just disintegrates the foam. So what I do to do that is I use Elmer's glue right there. That's what I use. So I just pour in that here. Let's see. Okay, so from here, I just use an old brush, one of these cheap brushes. You can buy a whole bunch of them for like 10 cents or something, I don't know. So any exposed foam that you see in your plane, you have to paint it and cover it. And a lot of places that, see like how this is very exposed like that, you got to cover that, get it protected so that so it doesn't get eaten up by the chemicals in the paint. So this whole back leading edge is open, so you got to cover that too. Other things you might not think about. Like this area right in here, that needs to get painted as well. Alright, so that's how you do it, and now when it dries, I can take it outside and paint it. But I think that also helps out with sealing the edges of the plane where the paper likes to come off sometimes. It helps with keeping the paper on also, so it's a good thing to do also. But that's it. Hopefully I'll see you out in the garage, but it is November right now and it's getting kind of cold, so I need to hope for some warm days to start spraying outside and getting the paint on. So hopefully I can do that, and I'll see you soon. Alright guys, we got temperatures in the 50s and it's middle November, so we are going to go out and try to put some paint on this bird. So I'm going to give it a try, hope it works, and I got to take advantage of this weather while I can. Alright guys, we are out here in the garage in the middle of November. It's like 50 degrees outside, I think, about 52, but I've got a little space heater going. Hopefully this helps out. Can't believe it, but I'm going to be able out here and spray this down in November. So I'm going to get a couple coats of paint on. I got a camera on here, so hopefully I get some good angles for you here to show how it's done. And let's go. Oh, latex gloves. Big tip, guys. Wear them when you can because they help you. You don't have to worry about cleaning your hands so much. So I use this. Okay, we got Krylon. Let's see, Catalina Mist. I used this on our FW190 a few years ago, and it still works. So I'm glad. I think I like this base color a lot. Some of the other blues I have are just too light colored blue for this. This has a little bit of green mixed in with it, so it's kind of good. So let's see how this goes. Go light coats, guys. You see that, guys? See how that weathering shows through a little bit there? It's kind of cool. I like that a lot. I'm probably putting too much paint on there, but I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so that's my first coat of paint. Hopefully that works, and I'll get to the next step after this. So I'll see you later. Alright, we got our first layer of paint on. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know if you can see here, but I like the way it looks. I think the weathering down below looked pretty good. You can still see some of the colors of the black weathering look down below the surface of the paint. Let's see, that came out pretty neat. Look at that. And so my next step is, for the next layer, I'm going to do the top of the wings, and I got to tape all that off. The fun part of everything is taping it off. It takes 2 seconds to paint it, but to prep work is always the worst, you know, but you got to do all that to make it look nice. So that's what I'm going to do next, and I'll get back to you when I do that. Alright, so I'm in the middle of taping off the plane here, and I thought I'd show you guys what I'm doing here, because it is a pain in the butt, but it's worth it in the end. So I just go around the edges with the tape, you know, and I do it right on the front edge of the seam there, and the edge over here, and the back over here too as well. But so here's I'll show you kind of what I did there. So I hope you can see that in the camera. But yeah, so I do that, and then on the other side, I'll show you. I just cut out pieces of the not garbage bags, but the grocery bags, some old grocery bags, and I just tape it all in. I just stick it all the inside edge there, and that's how I cover up the backside. So that's part of the process I do, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I've got a lot more to do. So I just thought I'd show you that so you can get an idea of what I do. So that's it. Okay, so I finished up all the prep work for the next level of paint on here for the wings and the top part here. I'll tell you what though, guys, if you don't have patience, don't do this. But it's going to be darn worth it in the end, I hope. So, just a little tip there. I got this stuff called like backer rod. It's usually used for filling up gaps in your driveway and stuff. But I know if you watch plastic modeler guys, they go out and they get like a kneaded eraser and they roll it up in a like tube and they put it all over there, so it gives it like a softer edge on the. So you don't have like a sharp edge. When you put a piece of tape down and you spray it, you have that really sharp edge. If you put something on there like this, that'll give it a softer edge so it doesn't give it that hard edge. So I'll show you here. So I did that. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. I did it along the edges. And show you there. And that was not easy, but I'm hoping it pays off in the end. So I'm going to go out to the garage now and paint it, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, I love saying see how it goes for some reason. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I do. Nervous habit, I guess. But we'll see how it goes, and paint it. Alright, see you later, guys. Alright, so I'm out here in the garage, and we're going to start painting it. This is the first coat I'm going to put on here for the lighter color. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole wings. I might do the whole wings, but I think I'm going to if I do the whole wings, I might get rid of the weathered stuff because this stuff is more opaque than I thought it was going to be. So I will give it a try and see what happens. See, there I go. I say see what happens again. All right, here we go. Okay, this Rust-Oleum paint is not going on well. It's like spraying, spitting on it. It's not really, which I'm not a fan of. Okay. I don't know if you can see in the picture or the video, but it's spitting. It's not necessarily spraying it. Supposed to spray it lightly, but it's hard to do when the paint can's messing up. Alright, seems like it's going on heavy, but that's what I gotta do when the paint can's all messed up. So, oh, that is really heavy there. Oh, that's not good right there. Shoot. Okay, well, we'll just let it go and... Alright, there's my first layer. We'll see how it goes, and we'll do the darker color later. Alright, see ya. Alright guys, a little update on the Rust-Oleum that I used. I wish I would have done this before, but it's an older bottle or older can of Rust-Oleum, and I didn't use it for a long time, so the lid here got really backed up and blocked, so I don't know if they could tell, that's the old one. I took this one off, and I grabbed a new one from another can and put a new one on, and that solved the problem, so it stopped spitting on me, but I wish I would have done that beforehand, because I put a lot of paint on there and it made it heavy, and it kind of ruined the whole weathering look there too. So that's something to think about whenever you're doing your painting your plane and using old paint. So try to think of that before you do that, and just a little helpful tip there. So made a mistake, moved on, and we'll see how this next step goes. But yeah, so next step I'm going to do the darker colors on the wings, and I'm going to use this backer rod and put that on there with tape, and hopefully it doesn't peel the paint off too much on the wings, but we'll see what happens. And that's the next step, and I'm going to get to that, and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright guys, so I'm at the point where I need to start covering up with the old grocery bags and stuff, so I just wanted to show you before I do that, because it's, and like I said, if you don't have patience for this stuff, you might not want to try it, but it's worth it, I think, in the end. We'll see. Let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so this is how I attach the backer rod. I just kind of go along there and put little pieces of tape on it. And it's tedious, but I think it'll be good in the end. So, let's see. Okay. So on the back side, I just put the tape along the side there, and this is the area where it's going to get painted, like right in here, there too. Okay, and that's how you did the fuselage, the top of the fuselage. And that's the back. So, again, tedious, but hopefully it's worth it in the end. So yeah, I'm going to have to cover it up like this. So that's my next step. But I just wanted to show you how it's done, and my next step is covering it all up. So I'll see you soon. Alright, so I finally have it all taped off and ready to paint. So that took a lot of time, and I think it's going to be worth it. And let me show you just what it looks like. So, hope you can see that in the camera. But that's how it's all taped off, and did it like that. Here's the other wing, and here's how the tail's done. Hopefully you guys can get some ideas on how to tape it off yourself. Alright, I'm going to go out to the garage. Today it's 60 degrees, and I think we're good to go. Middle of November again, 60 degrees. It's awesome. Alright. See you out in the garage. Alright, so I'm out in the garage. Like I said, 60 degrees in November, I'll take it any day. So I got the matte Spanish moss for Krylon. Now I had an old one here, and I tried it out again, and it had a bad nozzle again, so I'm glad I checked that out. So I had to run up to Lowe's real quick and get a new one, and I'm glad they had the same color. So I checked it out. This one works, and we're going to start spraying, see how this goes. I'm liking the color though. I think that color is looking really good. Pretty excited. It's starting to look cool again, guys. Alright, it's looking pretty good. I'll let it dry a little bit and then I'll start spraying again. Alright, so I think that's good. See, like it takes 2 seconds to paint, but forever to prep, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end. Alright, I'll see you down in the basement. I'll start taking this stuff off. Alright, it is time to find out if it was worth all that time and energy to put all that the backer rod on there to create that softer edge on it. So let's take this stuff off and see how it looks. Not gonna lie, pretty excited about this. Oh yeah, that looks good. Very cool. I love it. Love it. You want to take these pieces of tape off slowly. You don't want to take them off fast because it'll peel the paint off below if you take it off fast. So, little mess up there, but that's okay. But that looks really cool. I am pretty happy with that, guys. Alright. Look at that. See how that came in? See how it's got a soft edge to it instead of a hard, sharp edge from tape? That looks good. I like it. Alright, so there it is. That's we're in the right direction of getting this thing done, but look at that. That looks really cool. I'm loving that look of that. Look at how they got those soft edge lines like that. That is awesome. Not gonna lie, it's probably some of the best paint I've ever done on a plane yet, but that's pretty cool. So that's why, you see how it's got the soft edge and you got a hard, sharp edge where the tape was? So if you do tape, you're going to have that hard, sharp edge, but if you do the backer rod like that, you're going to get that type of an edge, which makes it look like it's sprayed on like they used to do in the old days. So that's really cool. Can I say that's cool enough? Because I really think that's cool. So another thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but so this is the Dollar Tree foam board, and if you're using the flight test foam board where the maker board like that, you have to sand it, use like something to get it rough so the paint sticks on it better. I just painted this with the polyurethane, and I didn't get any paint pulling off that plane at all. Like the paint, no paint came off out underneath the tape, and it looks great. I am so happy with that. I remember painting a few of those planes, and you put the tape on there and you pull it off, and it pulls the paint off down below it. And I don't know if that's going to solve all the problems, but that worked pretty darn good right there. So it's another factor to think about when you're painting your planes like that. So far we're lucky with no paint peeling off, and I'm liking the way it looks. So I don't know what we're doing next. I'm going to probably do the yellow nose and the yellow tail, so I'll paint that next. And so far I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, see you later. So my kid got back from school for Thanksgiving break, and he came back and he liked how the plane was going. He got really impressed how it looks. And then he yelled at me. Yeah, he yelled at me because he said, "Why did you cut holes in the wings to put the wheels showing for the landing gear and not put the landing gear panel lines on there?" So I had to go put panel lines on there. So this is what I did. Hopefully that looks good. I think I'm going to keep it dark too, because those are actual open lines where it doesn't, shows the darkness through the line. So I'll keep that way. And then he also, when he came home, he put, probably noticed that, he put this on there, which is the radiator on the front engine, which is pretty cool. And he made these, which is really cool. It shows the wheels, and he did an STL file with a 3D printer, and he made some guns for that as well. And he also made these, which are going to go, right here and there. So I got to paint those up yet and attach those as well. So, but in the meantime, while I've been waiting for him to check out, I've been making a bunch of decals for the plane. And how I go about doing that is, I actually take the files that are in Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and I draw them out on there and put the Insignias on there, so it actually matches the size of these. And then I'll print them out. I'll put them all on a piece of paper and I'll print them out. So like I'll have a sheet like that. I'll print them all out, and I make another one that's just a little bit smaller, just in case the sizes don't work that well. And once I do that, I cut them out and I put them on here to see if it, fits on there, if it looks good. So I put one there, and I put one there. And I like the way that these came out, so I'm going to go with that size. And I think, let's see, for the side over here, I had a larger one. Let's see, this one here. And the way I did it, it just comes out and it's just a little too big. So I'm glad I made a smaller one. So it's going to fit a little bit better that way. So I'm going to use that smaller size for that. So I'm glad I did that. And so maybe now I will show you how I go about doing this to make the decals. Alright, so to start this out, I cut out the decal I'm going to try to make, or the mask I'm trying to make. But so I just do that there, and from there I use this. This is a piece of paper I got from work. It's actually the backing for a bunch of vinyl. They would throw it out, and this stuff is so slippery that the tape just doesn't want to stick to it at all. It's awesome for using this. So I can put it on there, and this stuff, you know, you put it on there, and it doesn't want to stick on there at all. It's so slippery. So it's good to use as a backing when you're making these masks. So okay, so so you have that, and now what I'll do, actually, gotta turn the light table on. So this light table is awesome. I know it's high end. It's actually like $60 for this light table. I have this same kind of light table at work, and I had to get one for home because I love it so much. But it's from a brand called Monoprice, and I think they're like $60 online, like I said. But they're awesome. So I had to get them. Being an artist, I love it. Got to get it. And so yeah, I take that there, and I'll take a piece of newspaper, put it over top of it, and I'll go from there, and I will actually make a tracing. I'll go around the edging here, and what I'm doing this for is because I don't want the paper. I want as little tape as possible. So I'll draw that around there, and then I'll go out and I'll cut that little pattern out. And what happens, it'll look like this. So that's how I cut it out as. Okay. And now I'm just going to tape it on the back so it doesn't move when I want to tape it. But hold on, I got to put this backing on it first because that's what's going over top. Alright, so that's going to go that way. I'll have to tape that so it's secure on there. I don't want that to move. I know, you're probably thinking, like, this guy's crazy. Sometimes you could do, if you got a Cricut or a Cricut or whatever you want to call it, that's probably an easier way to go. But, I don't know, I like to make things difficult for some reason. You're probably like, this guy's got no life. He's got, all he does is do this kind of stuff. But it's fun for me. I don't know why, but do it if you want. I'm making a suggestion, just showing how I do it. If you don't like it, don't do it that way. But this is the way I like it. So, alright, I gotta cut that. I gotta tape that on too. So then I'll take one of the thicker pieces of blue tape I have, make sure it's wide enough for that, and cut that there. Alright, put another piece on there. Now from here, I will cut it out by hand. I'll use a straight edge, a little small 6-inch straight edge. And this is actually for the white. So I gotta label the mask for that. And I don't want to cut all the way through, so just cut lightly. Okay, so that's how that one's cut out. Now, see, these come off so easily now. But I like to keep it on, just keep the dust off of it. Keep it simple like that. And now I'm going to move on to the number. Okay, now I saved the best for last, the curves and stuff, and yes, I do it by hand. I've been doing stuff like this for my whole life, so that's why it's a little easier for me. But if you haven't done it before, you're a little unsure about it, just practice on some other pieces and take it slow. You don't have to do it fast. Nobody's judging you to make it get it done fast. So take your time. I still make a lot of mistakes, but I'm gonna give it a try here. So here we go. Okay, so that's how you make that. Let me see, I'll peel it up. Let's see. So I'll show you. So yeah. Oop, I forgot to cut that one line. Okay, so there you go. I'll show you how it's done. But yeah, so that's how I make the masks for all these panels, the insignias and all that. But I'll put that back down to keep the dust off of it. And I got a few more to make, and I just want to show you how that's done. So that's the white, actually, and I label it too, so you know, because I've got all these. These are all these are done already, and there's plenty of them. So, and I label each one of them: the white fuselage, right side, white left top wing. So that way I know which way they go or where they go. So this one is the white left fuselage. So that way I know where they go. That's how I do it. I got a couple more to go, and maybe I still got to paint the yellow on there, but I just wanted to show you how you do these decals, all right? Or the masks for the decals. So, all right, see you later. All right, so I'm ready to paint the yellow. I taped it all off, which is a whole video in itself, but I'm gonna paint the yellow on the nose and the tail, and this is going to be Matte Wild Honey, and that's what the brand is right there, Krylon. And I painted the weathering look for underneath there already. I used black and yellow. I know this is going to be a little more transparent, so I tried to make it not as dark as black, but it still came out very dark. But we'll see how it goes. And it's now like 19 degrees outside in December, so I have to spray it inside and not in the garage. So luckily, about an hour ago, my son just came home from college. My lucky assistant here, he's going to help me out. And if you guys are building this plane, he is the one who is designing all these and building them all, so I am just making the thing look nice and pretty, so he's responsible for the design.
Odds are if you're painting this 109 yourself, I've already spent about an hour or two with you building this plane, showing you how to build it. So.
Alright, so I'm going to have him use the shop vac to get the overspray here in my shop, so I don't have the fumes of this all over the place. You'll still smell it, but it won't have the spray of the paint all over the place. So I'm going to have him in the background with the shop vac, and I'll try to turn the volume down to the video so you don't blow your ears out with that. So, all right, let's go here. We'll just start spraying. All right, turn the shop back on, Jack, and let's go. Alright, so this paint is very transparent, so I'm going to probably do another coat of this after this dries. If you see here, that's how transparent it is. The weathering shows right through that. So we're going to go through and do another coat of paint on there. Still looks kind of cool like that. I like that. But I'm going to put another layer on there just to cover that weathering up just a little bit. So, alright, we'll be back in a little bit after that dries and just put another coat of paint on. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, round two. We let this dry. I'm going to paint it up. Alright. Alright, so that's it for the yellow. I think we're good. I'm going to take all the paper off and I'll show you what it looks like then. Alright, so I got all the paper off. We got the traditional yellow tail and the yellow nose on the BF109. It's starting to look really sharp now. I like the way this looks. I'm really happy with the way the weathering came out. I'll show you up close. Look how that came out. See how the weathering shows through the transparent paint? I'm happy about that. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to start putting the insignias on the wings and the side of the fuselage, and I'm starting to put all the detail work on next, so that's what I'll be talking about to you next, and I'll get to you soon. See ya. Alright, so it's time to put the insignias on. So to do this, I cut out some of these so I know where to put them, and I put these on here earlier just to see how they look. And I kind of lined them up on the panel lines. I put them over here. And I did that first, and I'm glad I did that because if I line them up directly with the panel lines, the insignias actually kind of turn inwards, and so I don't want that look. I want them to be looking like they're going straight forward. So I did that, and I made some marks on them, so I have to turn these a little bit more so they're straight. And it looks a little bit better that way. And so it'd be that way, and that way. That lines up a little bit better, and I can see that down the line a little bit better that way too. Yeah, it looks better. So I made some marks earlier, so I know where to put the masks on, so I'll take those off. And I'm going to take one of the masks, take these off of here, and let's see. Those look pretty straight. Alright, so I'm going to make some other marks for the side as well. Do the same thing here. I'll make some marks so I know where to line these up, and I'll get back to that and get that ready to go, and then I'll tape it all up and get all the coverings over there so I can spray paint it. So I'm just going to do the white here first, and I'll get back to you soon. Well, that took a little bit of time to tape it all off and get it ready for the next color. Well, first color of white here. I'm going to be using the satin white Krylon. That's what I'm going to use for the first layer here for the insignias. Some people think you got to do all the white at one time. I like, there's other parts here I'm going to have to do later, but I just feel it's easier to do the top side first and the bottom side later instead of trying to do it all at once. So I'm going to do this top side, put it on lightly, and before I started spraying, I can go back over and I pushed all the edges down on the mask down because those will peel up after a while, but I pushed that all down first, and now I'm going to start spraying. So. Remember, go light. Alright, I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and I'll come back and I'll put another coat on. Alright, so I let that dry for a little bit, and I'm going to put another coat on. But before I do that, I just want to show you what I do here. So I do a really light coat, so just to show you a little bit, that's how light it is before I do another coat. I don't know if you can see through there, but that's how light I do it. So you keep that in mind when you're doing it. You don't want to do heavy coats like this at all. So I'm going to put another coat on, and I'll show you what I do. Alright. Okay, I'll probably put one more coat on, and I'll come back to do that. Alright, so one last coat, and I think we're good to go. So let me put that on. Alright guys, so I'm going to let this dry completely. I'm going to probably work on the black next, and I'm going to let this dry completely because the last thing you want to do is put this on some wet paint. Even if it's dry on top, it's going to be a little bit wet down below, and when you put the tape on, it'll probably peel off the paint. You don't want that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it sleep overnight, and I'll get back to this tomorrow. Alright, see you. Alright, so I let that stay overnight, let it dry, everything's good and clean, and I put new masks on there for the black now. I'm going to show you what I did here so you can see how you cut the masks for yourself if you want to do it. Let's see. If you look at this closely here, I don't know if the lighting will show you or not, but I used the white edge of the Insignia as the outer edge there, and I just cut outside of the line. Let's see here. See how this is the white edge, and then this is the outside edge where I cut. And it's called, like, in the artist world we call that a bleed. So because I know the paint's going to overspray that, but yet I'm going to use that as the outside edge for the Insignia. So that's how I cut all of them. You can see up top here I cut it a little bit further, and that way I don't have to worry about the outside edge when I do this. So the white mask is used as the outside edge for the Insignia, and that's how I'm going to paint it. And hopefully you got an idea from that on how you can do your own. So all right, let me put this back up there, and I can start painting. Okay, so I'm using the, let's see, the satin black Rust-Oleum for this. So, alright, I'm going to make sure all these edges are pushed down, but alright, let's see how we go here. Oh, great. Spitting. Just a few minutes ago, it wasn't spitting like this. Okay, well, hold on. Alright, I'll be right back because this paint is spit. I mean, I need a new cap, so I'll try it again. Alright, I'm back. I found a new cap for this, and it sprays much better, so we'll go back and do it again. Alright. Let's see. Ooh, that was pretty heavy. Okay. Make sure all your edges are down tight. Alright, we'll let that sit and dry and go back and do round two. Alright, I let that sit for a little bit. I let the paint dry to the touch. It's a little tacky, but it's drier. And I'm going to put the second layer on now. Okay? Alright, maybe one more, just a little touch up, and I'll be done. Alright guys, last round for the black paint, and I think I'll be done, but I'm just going to do a very little bit. There's not much to do on this one, so. Alright, that's it. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to take the paper off, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright. Alright, as you can see, I got all the paper off. The Insignias look pretty good here. I'm pretty excited, guys. This is looking really cool. I'm pretty happy. I hope you guys like it too. You take a closer look. I'll show you there. Like that. It's kind of neat there. This side, good. If you look closely on the left one there, it's kind of got it beat up a little bit from the way I pulled the tape off. It kind of pulled off a little bit of the paint underneath there. It's because I didn't pull away from the edge. Instead, I pulled with it against it, and that's what made it peel off there. But you know what? I'm going to leave it because it gives a little bit more of a weathering, like a little used and weathered, so I like the way it looks. I'm going to leave it alone. So the next part I have to do, well, I'm going to actually put a lot more little details on here, but I'm not going to show you how I do it because it's basically the same process that I just showed you. So it'll be a little monotonous if I do that. So I'm going to leave that be, and I'll come back to you when I do the canopy, because the canopy is a different process, and I got to do it a different way. So I'll show you how that's done when I get to that point, and until then, I'll see you guys later, but I'm pretty excited, guys. I hope you like it. Alright, I'm back. I took a little break over Christmas. I caught myself a nice cold. That was great. I get a cold while I'm on vacation from work and get better just in time to go back to work, so that's awesome. So I'm done with all the little details and insignias and all that stuff, and it's time for me to get back to the canopy. I'm loving the way this is looking though, but I mean, this is really cool. So, and I also put on the bottom pieces here. Those are good. And I still got to do the wheels, that's up to, but that's not important right now. But I have to do the canopy, so look at that. That's pretty cool looking. I like the way that's looking. The more details, the better. So, alright, so I told you when I got to the canopy, I'm going to show you how you do it because it's a little different, but I don't know if it's that different, but I want to show you the details on how it goes into it to make the canopy, because once you put that canopy on, it's going to look really cool and finished off there. But let me show you how it's done. Okay, so first of all, I find some images that I like a lot and of the canopy, and luckily I've got a friend of mine at work who's an awesome photographer, and he took pictures of this BF109E version, of course, which is the canopy I needed. And I found some other images I like that show some really good details of the canopy. So those are great to have as reference to use. So after that, I kind of go here, okay, and I save some of the scrap pieces from the build. And this is another scrap piece from the canopy that I had. And I trace those images, let's see, down onto here. I make some patterns out of that. And now I draw from what I think would be a good place for the canopy, the corners of the canopies to be. And I draw those on there, and I put them on the light table. And I make the image, these pieces here, like I put tape onto the canopy to block off the paint. So I do that there. And here's another one. So this is a curved piece. Most of the pieces of the canopy are going to be straight, but there's some curved pieces, which is this is why I did that. But I did this, put them on the light table, cut out that pattern, so I have that. I can put it on the back piece. So this is like, let's see right here. I drew that out first. Use that. Added like a a few centimeters around there to give that inside edge. Then I made these patterns. So I now have to put those patterns on top of the canopy. Let's see, right here. So I'm going to put the blue tape on there and block off where the paint's got to be open, so we can spray paint the open canopy there. So let me go about doing that. And actually, that's the other thing too. I pre-cut a bunch of pieces of tape. So I predicted that it's about 4 millimeters for the tape to go along the straight edges of the canopy, and some of the other ones are 2.5 millimeters, and that's for like the corner pieces. That way it kind of overlaps each other and it still gives it that 4 millimeter edge. And I made some at 3 millimeters just in case for some other pieces there, but I pre-cut those so it's easier to do. So now I'm going to put the blue tape on the canopy, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, I'm going to do these side pieces first because they're easier. And I did make some marks on there to know, a little mark there, a little mark there at 4 millimeters, so I know that it'll work and fit right. Okay, this is a piece I'm going to use as a guide. This was the inside piece of the back canopy. I'm just going to use that as a guide for me as to where to put the next piece. And again, I did mark some spots so I know where to go. Okay, it's not perfect, but it'll work. That's just being used as a guide. That's not working right, so. Alright, so I had to pause there for a minute because I was trying to put this piece on there and it wasn't working right, so I had to readjust some things. But the reason this wasn't working is because the angle of this piece right here actually angles in a little tighter of an angle than where the turtle deck goes back, and it just doesn't work, so it caused this air to pinch and for the paper not to lay down flat, so it was causing a lot of problems. So to solve that problem, what I did was I used that line again, and I drew a 4 millimeter spot there, and just extended it out a little further to make those pieces a little like a 4 millimeter edge around there. So then I took that to the light table, and I cut these pieces out of here. So I'm going to use that piece there now, and just follow the back edge of that canopy, and we'll see how that works. Let's take that off of there. And look at that. That worked beautiful. Alright, let's do the other side. Perfect. Alright, now these front pieces, if I can find, there we go. These pieces here, let's go along the front canopy right here. Let's see, I'll put the curved one on first. Helps to have some tiny pieces here to help out. Let's see if this works. Okay, just like that, huh? Piece of cake. If you look closely, there's still a gap in between these there, so I'm going to go around later and put another piece of tape over top of the middle there, so that the air or the paint won't get in that little crack there. So, but that worked out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that so far. All right, now let's put the other tape on. This is a 4mm. Okay, so that's basically how you do it. I'm going to tape off all the stuff, the exterior stuff, so I don't get the overspray now. But that's basically how you do it. It's kind of neat. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go cover up these cracks here with some more tape so that paint doesn't seep through there either as well. So I'll cover this all up and do the exterior covering up, and I'll show you when I start spray painting too. So what I do. So I'll get back to you soon. All right, see you. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but it's all taped up now. But I don't know if you can see, but I taped up another piece of tape on top of those seams there so no paint gets in there on those seams that were open before. So it's all ready to paint now. I'm going to get ready to paint it, and I'll get back to you when I start painting. Alright, it's time to paint, so I'm going to go with it here. So we got matte vintage blue. I'm going to do a faded pattern. I'm going to do like a lighter color up top with a little bit darker on the next to that, and then the last one is going to be this one. So that's Satin Island Splash. So here we go. Okay, I gotta fix the nozzle. It's not working right, so I gotta fix that first, and I'll get right back to it. Alright, fix the nozzle, and we'll go back at it again. Alright. let's put some more spray on. I try to dry it off in between layers. That last shot went on a little heavy, so I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see how I can fix it or see what the end result looks like. Alright, next round I'm going to try to fade it down a little bit and use this stuff called satin. It's satin aqua, and hopefully this is a little bit darker. So I'm going to try to do a fade where it goes down a little bit lower from the darker to the darker color. So, all right. Okay, here we go. That one went on pretty smoothly and evenly, but it goes on pretty quick. So I think that's all we need for that one. All right, we'll try to dry it off again. Okay. Okay, one more shot, guys. We're going to go use this last one. This is a Krylon Satin Island Splash. So I'm just going to try to hit in the lower edge and the bottom on the both sides and see how it looks. And it'll give a faded look to it. So you don't want just a one solid color. It just gives a better effect when you have a faded shot. So, all right, here we go. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. A lot of people like to wait to take the paint off, or take the tape off. Like, they like the paint to dry first, but I don't like to do that. I like to get the tape off as soon as possible, but you got to be very careful taking the paint off. So, I'll get back to you when I do that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, I got the paper off. It looks nice. The canopy looks great on there. I'm going to measure this now, because I haven't weighed this thing in a while, and I think we started off at 272 grams of weight beginning without all the paint and extras on there. So let's take a look at it, see what it is with what kind of weight we have. Let's see. Got 325 grams, which is about 53 grams of weight put on there. So 53 grams of weight and awesomeness, because I love the way that looks. This has come out really nice, and most people would say, hey, it's done, but I don't think it's done yet, because I'm going to be crazy and I'm going to add some more weathering. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I'm going to do it. So my next step to this is putting some weathering on there, and I'm going to make it look even better, I hope. So that's my next step. When I get to that point, I will show you what I'm doing next. Alright guys, I'm back. I took a little break over Christmas holidays and had some fun with the family, and took a break from weathering this and making it look cool. So now I'm back. I'm going to get back to it, and I got myself a nice little toy with this turntable, and I think it's pretty cool. I just want to use it to display the models I'm building, and I think it's pretty neat. So alright, let's put this stuff away, and I'll show you what's the next process. I'm going to probably do some weathering on the lines, all the rivets and the panel lines, and I will show you how that's done next. Alright, I'll see you soon. Alright, so the first step I'm going to do on weathering this plane is I'm going to work on the panel lines and the rivets that are on here, and I spent all this time and effort into drawing them on there. I want to make sure they're seen a little better, because you can't see them that well unless the light hits it perfectly, and I think if you put some dirt in there, it will accentuate those lines a bit more, and I think that'll make it look really sharp. So I did some experimenting the other day. I took some of the spare wings that I had, and I had these here. So this is the kind of look I'm going to go for, and get those panel lines there. And I did this one, and I thought it was pretty cool, and then it just looks too yellowish to me. So what I do is I'm actually using oil paints, and I thin it with some paint thinner and kind of put it over there really softly and lightly. And I'll show you how I do it. But this color was just a little too, that's like the raw umber. I think that's the color, the burnt umber. And didn't come out that well. So I put a little more black into the raw umber, and I like burnt umber, I'm sorry. And that's the way, I like the way that looks better. And then I did some more experimenting the other day, and I like the way that looks better. So that's what I'm trying to do. So to do that, I use, these are some old paints of mine that I had from college. That's how old these things are. This thing actually cracks, and it doesn't even, I couldn't even get the lid off. So it's some old oil paint, and this is what I'm using. And sorry, my throat's a little messed up still. So I'm going to use these are actually, these things are actually egg crates from Costco. So that's a little tip for you. You can use these for mixing paint. So that's a little tip. You'll never find that tip anywhere else. So if you've been here watching this video for a good hour and a half so far or so long, it's just worth it for that tip alone. So just kidding, of course. So let's see. I'm going to put some. I'm going to squeeze it out of the side here, and oops, other side. And squeeze some oil paint in there. Oh, it's coming out all over the place. It's so old. Okay. Put that over there for now, and let's get some burnt umber. That's what I'm using. Just a little bit though, because it's going to be more black than a burnt umber. Okay. And then I'll get some paint thinner, and let's get that lid off of there. Of course, this is a tip I learned watching plastic modeler people doing their stuff, and they got a lot of great tips if you just watch them. I'm hoping that these tips can work on the RC airplanes as well. So I'm going to use just a thin tip brush like this, and let's get some black in here, and just a little bit of this burnt umber, and let's get some paint thinner in there to mix it up. You want this to be a thin consistency, but you don't want it to be too much, because the plastic modelers, they'll actually spray the top of their paint, their plane with like a clear varnish, so it doesn't affect, so the paint thinner doesn't take off the paint underneath there. But of course, I don't want to add more weight to the plane, so I'm going to do it without that and hope that it doesn't take the paint off. So that's the plan, at least. So just mix this up, and you want it to be somewhat watery. I'm going to try to add a little more burnt umber. So I do want it to look a little dirty, not just all black. Alright, let's get this plane, this old wing here, experiment this first. I'm going to see if this is too, yeah, it's still too thick. So make sure you have it. This is like an old soft t-shirt that I just cut up, and I need a lot more paint thinner in here to thin it up. It's just too thick for what we need it for. Let's see how that looks. That's kind of the consistency we need right there. See how it's kind of watery? It's not thick. So I'm going to just go along the edge there of the, you want to get it wet first, and then you want to go through and kind of just dab it like this, because that'll get into the crease of that little line you drew. If you just go like that, it comes out very light. You don't want it to be that light. You just kind of get it there so it draws the fluid into the crease. You just kind of dab it like this to get it into that area. Okay, I'm just go down here. and then go back and dab it again, and that gets more of the paint into that crease. So yes, it's very time consuming, but that's what you gotta do. Again, if you don't have patience for this stuff, you might not want to do this, but it's pretty neat and fun when you see the end product of it. So now when you get to this point, I believe you're going to have to let it sit for just a few minutes. You don't want to wipe it off right away. You want to keep it on there for just a little bit of time, let it soak in. Like I said, these are oils, so they're not going to dry right away. So you let it dry just a little bit, a few minutes, I don't know, 4 minutes, maybe something like that. That's kind of what I've been doing. It could be longer, but if you want to experiment first, try that out on other products before you do it on the finished piece. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little nervous putting it on the new one, or on the good one, because I don't want to ruin it, but that's why you practice on these bad pieces first. So let me just let it dry for a little bit, and once it dries, I'll start wiping it off and show you what I do. Okay, so it's been about 4 minutes now. I just let it dry and sit there and get it set in. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to try to wipe it off of here, because you don't want that dark of a line on there in that crease. So I'm not going to go in circles like this to wipe it off. I'm going to try to go straight, go on top of it, and just go straight along the panel line. Okay, I'm going to get another new one. Okay. That's actually wiped off a lot, so I don't know if I like, but that's still kind of cool. Alright, so I'm going to wipe along here. Alright. Hope you can see that. So after I do the lines and get it where most of the paint's off, then I start going in circles. So I'll just put a little bit on my finger and just kind of wipe it off slightly. You don't want to go hard. You want to go soft and lightly with it. So okay. So see how that looks now? I'm hoping that's how good it looks when I do it on the plane. So I like the way that looks. I'm going to do a little more. And if you want, if you have any fingernails, you can kind of get in. If you think it's too dark, whoops, they see that's too much. I took too much out of there. But you can kind of get in the crease, and you can kind of get in its fingernail and take it out of it. But yeah, I don't want to take all that out of there. So, but overall, pretty good. I like that. And remember, that's paint thinner in there, so if you keep rubbing it, let me see if I get it here, it will sometimes rubs the paint off. You don't want to do that. So if I'm rubbing really tight there, you can get rid of all that paint in there. See? You can get rid of that. So, and that's not what you want, but so, but it's nice that you can go, if you made a mistake, you can go back and do it. So, alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this plane out, and I'm not going to lie, a little nervous about doing it. And maybe, well, okay, whoa, okay. Let's start over here on the edge. Hopefully you got that in the camera. Let's see what we got here. Always start with like a dry brush and just add a little, because you don't want it to be super heavy with moisture. Alright, let's go here. I'm putting it on lightly because I'm nervous, but almost lost the brush in my hand. I don't think you want to do all of it at once. You want to just kind of do sections. And I'm trying to hit the rivets. The paint sits inside there and weights and gets a little harder inside those rivets. That's not that deep of a crease there, so we'll see how that paint holds in there. And hopefully I don't wipe it all off. That's weird. I don't know if you can see, it's very, when I went to this dark green, it's very waxy. It's almost like water and oil. It doesn't want to mix. I wonder how that's going to affect it. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? I might have to put it on thicker. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, well, we'll at least have it on this. We'll see how that works. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. Okay, so once again, that was about 4 or 5 minutes waiting for that to dry. Let's see how it goes here. I'm going to wipe this off. Go with the green. Go with this. Okay. Again, remember, wipe with the same direction as the panel line. And then once it's dry, or not dry, but when you get most of it off, you can rub in circles after that. Now this I'm a little worried about because this is kind of very watery and it's like oil and water there. I don't know if it's going to work that well on this dark green. It's looking okay. And it wipes a lot of it off of there. But try to get my fingernail in there and lighten that panel line up a little bit. Okay, so that's what happened there. That looks pretty good. I'm not too disappointed with that. That'll really accentuate those lines pretty well. So, but I am a little worried about this dark green area. That's kind of like a mixture of oil and water, and it doesn't sit that well. But I'm going to keep trying it and see how it looks and keep going with it. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not going to have you watch me the whole time again. So, but that's the process I'm going to go with, and just do all the panel lines and try to accentuate those black lines. And once I get a little further, if I think of something that's good that you might like, I will come back and I'll show you. Alright, I'll see you. Okay, so I wanted to give you a little update. I'm kind of finished up for the night. I worked on the whole top wing tonight, and I love it. I'm so glad I'm doing this right now because it's a lot of fun to do, and it really improves the look of it. So let me show you a close-up of what it looks like. So hopefully you can see that in the lighting. It really brings out the creases that I designed for the panel lines. I'm pretty happy with that. And I gotta do the bottom next, and this fuselage and all that. But so far, I'm pretty happy with this, guys. It's tedious, it takes a lot of time, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It looks really cool. I don't know if the camera does it justice, but seen in real life, it's pretty cool. So I'm loving this, and I hope you guys like it too. And I'm going to get to the bottom wing tomorrow, and maybe I'll show you how that's going. And that's it. I'm going to bed. See you guys. Alright, so I finished the panel lines, and I really love the way they came out. I'm pretty happy with the results. So they're pretty much done with the panel lines. Maybe we can take a closer look. So that's how they look. Did the bottom as well. Did the bottom wings. I like those. So every step I take to make this look nicer just makes me happy. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the exhausts of the plane. The way the kit's made, it's made to look like the exhaust, but they're not really perfect, or not that the new one's going to be perfect either. But so what I did was I found some thick cardstock, you know, and I want to make these things so this is the way the exhaust looks now, okay, which looks good, but I'm going to try to put these pieces of paper in there like that and maybe give it some little bit smoother feel, and I'm going to paint them black and brown and rusty color. So I did a few examples and didn't work out right, so I finally found the right pattern I like, and this is the one I liked. So this is a pattern that I'm going to use. So I made that pattern, I drew it out on a piece of paper, and I cut them all out simultaneously. And I made about 13 or 14 of them, even though it's, just to have some extras in case I make mistakes. So I bent them all up like that. I don't know if you can look a little closer, but that's how they look there. So to do that, though, I cut those pieces out, and I go from the flat piece there. And when I drew the panel lines, I drew the lines down the whole piece, like all at once, like I drew them all down there. And then you got to bend. I drew a hard line with the pencil to give a score line, so it bends at those points. So you kind of put your fingernail in there, and you bend it up like that, and you put your other fingernail there, and bend it up like that to give it the good square edge. Okay, and then I also bent this back here a little bit to give it a curvature of the way the exhaust pipes go. And now those are going to go in. Let's see, they're going to go in like that, and it'll be a sharper look. So now from this point here, I'm going to have to go in, I'm going to have to paint all these up, and I'm probably going to paint them black with maybe a tone of rust to the edge of it. And I was going to hand paint them at first, but I don't know if I'm going to hand paint that. I think it's going to take too long. So I'm actually going to go back and maybe use a rattle can and spray them all black and touch it up with a little bit of rust color. So I hope that works. I'll show you when I get to that point, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I think I'm ready to start painting the inside of those exhausts. I was going to hand paint it at first, and I just thought it would be a little difficult to do that, but not that difficult. But I just thought it would be lighter and smoother if I did it with the taped it up and spray painted it. So I thought I was done with all taping this all up and masking it all out, but I just think it's easier that way. So I'm going to use some matte Rust-Oleum for the exhaust, because carbon on exhaust tubes are usually dark and matte. They're not shiny. So let's give this a try and see how it goes. There we go, saying see how it goes again. Alright, I think that's all I need for that. But now, for all the exhaust pipes, let me see if I'll adjust the camera here. Alright, so what I did, I cut all those pieces, put them all in a straight line, because I'll show you why. But I had to secure them down, because if I'm using spray paint to do this, I just spray it, I'm going to shoot the pieces all over the place. So I took this thumbtack, or fun tack, I guess, and this is the stuff I use. It's that you usually put on the back of posters or stuff like that, and to hold the posters up. But it's tacky, and you can just ball up, and so I put little balls on the back of it. You've seen that picture there. And I tacked it down so that when I spray paint it, the pieces don't fly all over the place. So let's spray it here. Let's spray it with spray paint. Let's get this side. And then we'll get this side. Hopefully I don't get in the camera. Get the front edges, so all the edges get covered up. A little bit over here. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for a little bit first, and then I'll come back with the other color. Alright, so I let that dry for a little bit, and now it's kind of still a little tacky, but it's kind of dry to the touch almost. But now I'm going to put on some brown in here, because I'm going to try to spray just the tip of this here with brown to kind of emulate rust, and hoping it works. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. So what I was going to do is I have it, that's why I have them all in a straight line. I'm going to try to use this as a spray guard and try to give a suck, because I don't want a hard edge, I just want it to be like a soft line. So I'm going to try it up here first and see how soft of an edge it gets. Whoops, that's a little too soft. That might work. Okay, so let's go just a little bit here. So I'm going to go right along the front edge. That's why I had them all in a straight line there. So hopefully I can just get the tip of each exhaust pipe, just a little bit of brown in there. That might work. I think that worked pretty good. All right, so let's let that dry, see how it works, and if I need to put more on, I'll put a little bit more on. So from here, I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna take all the paper off of there, get the exhaust so it's open, and maybe I'll take this paper off here, and I'll show you how I gotta put these exhausts on. I'll get the hot glue gun warmed up, and we'll go from there. All right, so I took all the paper off, and I really like the way the exhaust ports came out. Let's see. So, I mean, even if you don't want to do all these exhaust pipes, I like the way just making it darker looks. So, let me show you how that looks. I mean, it just looks, given the contrast where the carbon from the exhaust goes on the pipe, it just gives a nice look to the front edge there. So, but if you're like me and you want to make things difficult, work on these exhaust pipes and have some fun. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hot glue gun over here. I'm going to take one of these off. Okay. Get that blue tacky spot off of there. And I'm going to put some hot glue. And make sure that this has got a curve to it, though. You know. So you want that to be curved because that's the way the exhaust pipes go. I'm going to be placing it like right inside this edge like that. And I might do this one first because. All right. So let's get some glue on here. And I don't need to put the glue on the whole surface. I just want a little dab because I don't want more weight, obviously. And grab it from the front here and put it in there. You get these tabs inside the exhaust tubes or pipes. And push it in tight and hold it in. Alright. So that's how that looks. I don't know if you can see it that well there, but that's what we're going to do. Now let me get a couple more and do the same thing. Okay, now I got to figure out what I need to do on this next one. I have to cut back a little bit because it won't go all the way in there. Okay. Get my scissors and I'll cut right there first. See how, if that's enough. I'd cut the corners off so the corners don't get in the way. Might be too much anyways, but we'll see. Okay, I need to cut a little bit more off. I think that'll work. Alright, let's put some glue on there. Okay, I am really excited about how that looks, guys. That looks cool. So, there you go. That's how that looks. Pretty neat, huh? I know I have to do this last one here. I'm going to have to adjust the back and figure out how we put the two tabs on the back on. So, I'll do that again and maybe I'll show you again. Or maybe I won't, but maybe you'll be able to figure it out yourself. So, but I like the way that looks, guys. That looks pretty sharp. Alright, I'm going to do the other side and do the same thing to it. Alright? I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done with that. But alright, pretty cool, guys. I'll do the other side and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, so I got both sides of the exhaust done, and I love the way they came out. I'm pretty happy. Let me show you real quick. Let me show you. So you got that side, and then you got that side. So I'm pretty happy with those. But, okay, so I'm going to do some more weathering. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like the soot from the cannons here. I'm going to put a little bit of dusting along here to show the wear and the weather from the gunpowder shooting out of there. And I got some here and here. And I have to do probably the exhaust as well. So I did some experimenting on my extra wings I had. So again, helped out having these extra wings. So I did, let's see, that right there. So that's what I'm going to try to do to the gun ports and give that weathering look to it. So to do that, I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought these weathering sets from, excuse me, and I'm going to use the soot. So you got snow, soot, and rust. You got sand, light sand, mud, rust, metal, and silver. So I'm going to use the soot one. And let's see, I just use a Q-tip to, excuse me, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip and rub it in here. Get just a little bit of it wet like that, or dirty. And rub it on here. Hopefully you can see that in there. So there's a kind of a look there. It's kind of neat. I might want to put some more on. Alright, let's try this side. Let's get a little more on here. And make sure you go with the grain, like not the grain, but the angle. You don't want to come out this way or out this way. You want to come straight back. Let's put a little more over here maybe. Obviously you want to put more on the dark one because you can't see it as well. Alright, so I kind of like those. So that's what it looks like there. That's what it looks like there. But that looks sharp, looks more weathered. I like it. More weathering, guys. I like it more weathering. So let's put it on the bottom here. Let's see how that works. Let's put this on the stand. So you got to readjust the camera. Here, let's closer. There we go. Alright, that looks cool. I like that. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that, guys. So you got the bottom side there, right there, and then the top side right there and there. And now I'm going to do right here and here, and I'll probably do the exhaust down here and stuff, but I'm not going to have you watch me do the whole thing. So it's the same thing. Going to rub that into the surface and make it look nice, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you that when it's done. Alright, so I think I'm done with the weathering with the powdery stuff here. I put them on the gun ports and the guns here and the exhaust side there and some of the other spots, really the gas inlets and that stuff. And I love it. I love every little step I take here and making it look cooler and cooler. I love it. So here, let's show you a closer look at these. So there's the nose of the gun ports, and I did a little bit in the side there as well. So there's the exhaust side on that side, and then this is the other side. And now for these here, let's see, the exhaust on here, I didn't just use black. I used like the rust to give it a little bit of that orangey yellow or darker brown, and then I blended in some of the soot with it as well, and then I blended in a darker, they have a metal color too, so I made it dark, a little bit dark, and then brown, and I just faded it out. So that's how I did that one. And I liked how these, if you can see that there, but I like how those came out, little dark fade on the back sides where like the wind would be blowing and catching on the top side there and the back side there, and same with that. And kind of like that, so you can see it better on that one. But I like how that, and then I did the bottom as well. So I did the gun ports there. I did the exhaust from the radiator here. I mixed that with the rust as well. But yeah, so that's how that's going. So now, whoop, I almost dropped that. That's not good. Okay, so the next part I'm going to do here is I'm going to put like the oily, greasy parts on it, and I'm going to use oil paints for that. And I'm not going to go crazy. I don't think I'm going to go that crazy as of right now. But I'm going to put some of that stuff on there and show you how I do that. So again, I use oil paints again. So I use burnt umber and black. And so I'm going to do, let's see, I'll do one of these exhaust ports or like there. So, and now this paint here, you want it to be watery like the other stuff we did. I think you want to make this a little thicker than watery, so I'm going to put it inside here. Hopefully you can see that I'm not blocking you. Let me move the camera a little closer maybe. I can't even see what I'm doing. Now this paint has a little bit of burnt umber in it as well. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to get the smaller brush. And let's get a little trail of okay, I'm going to let that dry for just a little bit. It's a lot easier when I don't have to film this, but I'm trying to show you guys what I do. So I used a clean, it's cotton swab here. It picks a lot of it up, so. And switch it and rotate it so I don't get too much dirt on there. See how it clears it up a little bit more when you use the clean side of the cotton swab? Okay. Alright, so let's see how that looks. It's looking pretty good. Let me drag that out a little bit more. Okay. And if you dip your brush into the paint thinner I have in here, you can kind of erase this a little bit. But you don't want to use too much because it could go through the paint. And you don't want that. Gives a little bit more watery edge there. I'm trying to get a clean edge there so I don't rub more. So I'll just get another Q-tip. Rub that out a little bit. Let's add just a little bit more. I'll let that dry a little bit. Okay, so I let that dry for a little bit. I'm going to go back in there with this and clean it up a little bit, see if I can make those streaks look a little more like oil streaks. Alright, I kind of like the way that looks. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that, so that's how you do that. I'm going to see if I can show you how I do, it's very similar, but I'm going to do this over here. So I'm going to add some oil streaks to this over here as well. Okay, I'll let that sit for a little bit. I'll add a little bit here too. Okay, so I let that dry a little bit and see if I can lift some of this out so it doesn't be so strong. You want it to be soft a little bit, but not so hard and black. And the harder you push on it, the more you're going to lift out. So if you want to fade out to a lighter color, kind of like that there, you just push on the Q-tip a little bit harder. You can always add more color later. switch the side of this Q-tip so I don't get all that smudge on there. I'm going to fade that out to lightness right there. So that's how that looks. So I'm liking that too. So I'm going to go around the plane and I'm going to add some more effects like that to it, and hopefully it comes out nice and I don't make any mistakes, and I'll show you when that's done. Okay? Hopefully I'm getting closer. I'm liking it. I'll see you soon. Alright, I just wanted to show you a little thing I was doing while I was doing all this weathering, but I'll show you a little thing you can do if you make a mistake. If you make a mistake and you don't like the way the lines are coming out, I would notice that I dipped my tip of my brush in the paint thinner, and I kind of got a lot of the paint thinner out, but if you want, you can go, hopefully you can see that in the camera, but you can kind of make it more of a, it'll lift it out a little bit. Hopefully you can see that. And it makes it a thinner, so if you make it your line too thick, you can go in here and the paint thinner will lift out that paint a little bit. So hopefully you can see what it does. If not, I apologize, but okay. Oops. But yeah, it kind of also gives it a little bit more of a greasier look, so, or oily look. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. I'm going to keep doing it, and I'll have some more fun. All right, I'll see you again. All right, so I think I'm done with all the weathering. I'm pretty happy with it, pretty satisfied. Actually, I'm really satisfied with it. But this is what I did. I finished up with all the oil and grease marks on there, so I did that there. I did the intake there over here. I did that side. There's some more oil spots there. I did the bottom as well. I didn't do much. Like I said, I wasn't going to do much of it, but there's some spots there, and I did the other side. If you know anything about the BF109, this part right here is usually greasy as hell and oily. I just chose not to do it, so maybe I'll do it on another plane. I just don't feel like doing it on this one. So I still think it looks pretty cool without it, so I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm not done with this yet. I need to put some other stuff, additional details to this yet. So my son created this nose cone for this plane. It's an STL file. Hopefully you can find it on 13thsquadron.com if you want to build this or print it out yourself. But yeah, it's just a nose cone. So he did that, put that on there, and this is going to go right there. So, but I need to paint it yellow, so I got to do that, and I need to also build, or not build. I got to do the stanchions for the supports for the horizontal elevator, and I also have to paint these, paint the wheels right there and there. So those are the next things I got to do. So that's what I do next. So I got to cover this table here with paper so I can spray paint it, and that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so all I need to do now is spray these pieces down. So I'm going to use the blue first. Actually, this is the Catalina Mist. This is the same stuff I used for the fuselage there. Okay. I'll use your gloves. And let that dry. Put my vise over here, let it dry. I'll do these two as well. Oh well, I'll fix that. I know I'm doing 3 of them, but it's just in case I make a mistake. It's always good to have spares. Alright, I got a little bit overspray on the from the blue onto this nose cone spinner, so I just cleaned that off a little bit, and now I'm going to spray paint it yellow. Again, I use the blue tacky stuff to hold it, so I don't have to hold it exactly, and I can just spray it out from a distance. Did the same here with the blue tack. Okay, I like that. I'm going to let this sit and dry, and we'll get to that point next. So, alright, we'll see you later. Alright, so after spraying those pieces and letting them dry, I think I'm ready to go and start doing some gluing here. So, I'm going to glue those pieces back here for the horizontal stabilizer, and then I'm going to start gluing, maybe glue these pieces here. So, I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So let's put this on a stand. Okay. So I already cut these pieces ahead of time, so you don't have to watch me cut it, but so I have them fit in here, so I'm going to have to glue these in. Okay. Got my hot glue gun ready. I'm just going to put some glue in here. That might have been a little too much glue, but that's alright. Alright, let's do the other side. Alright, I'm going to look to see, make sure that's level. That looks pretty good. Alright, so let me adjust the camera over here to make this so you can see this a little better. Alright, so I am going to put these pieces in here. So that's going to go there, and this is going to go here. So now these are, hopefully these are files, are STL files available on 13thsquadron.com. Son Jack made these so that whenever you open these up, if you choose to do that, and open this up so you can put some wheel inserts in there like they had the real airplane like that. It's going to look pretty cool, I think. I painted them up like that. I was pretty happy with the way that came out. And if you do this, I noticed that like the bottom of this surface here doesn't go all the way down to meet the other side of the wing. So you have to put some supports, and it actually worked out perfectly. I put, if you see inside there, I put 2 pieces of foam board. I put one there and one here. And I did the same thing on this side as well. I put 1 piece of foam board there and 1 piece of foam board there. And it works out perfectly actually when I put it in. So that's going to go in here like that. And gotta be honest, it's a little tight. So you got to kind of finagle around. I'm hoping that if you're building this plane, you're pretty mechanically inclined and you know how to fix things to make things fit. So, but it is tight, but it works out great. So I'm going to put some glue in here. I'm just going to put it on those pieces of foam board in there, and hopefully it'll hold it in. Okay. So let's see how this goes. Put that in there, and look at that. Fits perfectly. Alright, let's try the other wing, the other wheel. Okay. Put some glue on there, and some glue over here. Slide that in place. Alright, so that's done. Now, well, I'll let that dry a little bit, or cool down a little bit first. Okay, but that looks pretty cool though. Look at that. Let's see. See how neat that looks, guys? That's pretty cool looking. Gives it a nice scale look. I might put some dirt in between the wheels a little bit more, do some scale, you know, stuff to that. But overall, that looks pretty sharp. Alright. So, from here, I made, just drop that. So here's the spinner, and those came out really nice. I like those. So this is going to go on top of here. Okay, it's going to go like that, and then it's going to go on the front here. So it's going to give a nice scale look. That's going to be pretty sharp. But to do that, we got to put the power pod in, and with the motor out in there, or put the motor in there. So, but before I do that, I'm gonna actually weigh this thing, because we haven't weighed this yet, and before we start putting electronics and stuff in here and batteries and stuff, we'll find out how much weight we actually put on this thing of all with all the decorations and scale details and all this stuff. So whenever we weigh it, it should tell us how much weight we put on this thing to make it look this nice. So let's take a look at that and weigh it, see what it looks at, how much it weighs. Alright, let's turn this on. And let's see. Okay. Let's see how much that weighs there. Alright, what do we got here? We've got 325 grams. Yep. Okay, so 325 grams minus what? I think it was 272 in the beginning of what I started without any paint on it whatsoever. So I think that's what, it's about 53 grams of paint. And what I said before was awesomeness, because that's beautiful. I love the way this thing looks. So that's pretty cool. That's only 53 grams. I like that. But now we got to add the motor mount, and that's a cool thing in itself too. And we have to add this, so that's gonna be neat. So to do this, we take this off, open this up. Yeah, oh, that's probably some extra weight, but so this is the inside of the motor mount. So we got to slide the motor mount in here. And if you guys haven't seen this yet, this is really cool. My son Jack, he designed this new motor mount for swappable planes, and he was tired of having the bamboo skewers going in and out and just ruining the outside look and appearance of the plane itself. So he designed this new motor mount. If you guys haven't seen it, it's really cool. I'm pretty proud of him. He did a good job. I love it. And let me get the motor mount so I can show you. Okay, so let me move this camera a little tighter, maybe you can see it better. Okay, so how this works, now I might screw this up because I'm not the guy who knows stuff about RC stuff. My son Jack knows about it, but watch this, guys. This is pretty cool. So this is going to slide in through the front here. Maybe I'll screw it up, I don't know. And watch, it won't go smooth for me. So that slides in, and it's just going to go in here. You slide it forward, or maybe backwards for it further. And I don't know if you can see it, but it'll pop in like that. Okay, so it pops in, and that thing is locked in tight now. You are not moving that thing out of there. It's just locked in, and there's no barbecue skewers. And this thing actually goes down underneath, you know, where I can't see it right now, but it goes underneath. I'm going to lock that all back in. That your battery's going to go in there, and this will just cover right back up again. Now, if that's not cool, I don't know what is. So that's some awesome thought process and engineering behind Jack's thought, and that's just cool. I love it. So that's in there now, and look at that. That's not gonna. That's in there tight. You are not gonna. That's not coming out. It's in there nice and good. And that's just cool. I love it. Okay, enough about that. Let's go. Okay. So now, this has to come off the front. And this gets put on here. Okay, that's as far as it goes. Okay, and then this has got to go on top of there. I should probably go get a prop for this. So I'll be back. I'll get a prop. Alright, so I found a propeller upstairs, and let's put it on. Okay, so this is a 10 by 4.5 prop, so it's going to go in there, and we'll just put that on there. Doesn't have to be too tight because we are just doing this for show here today. It's actually pretty loose, but not worry about that right now. Let's put this on a stand. And let's see if we can move that up. Okay, so this is going to go in there, and there's 4 screws on this. And watch me, I'll probably drop a few screws here and there, but you know how that goes. Let's just start them off. But here's one drop. Wonderful. Just start them first. Alright, so now that that's on, we've got one more thing to do. Although, let's take a look at that, guys. That nose cone, it's such an iconic look for the BF109E, so look at that thing. That gives it such an iconic look to it. It's awesome. Love that too. Okay, so one last thing we got to do. So this thing here, this little thing in my hand, so it's an antenna. Okay, and that's going to go right there. Now to do that, I talked to my son about it, and he said make sure you really dig out the inside of it. So hold on, let me get this camera. And I'm glad he told me, because I did go in there with a knife and I dug this out pretty good before I did it, because it is pretty tough. So because there's a lot of foam and glue in between there, so you got to do it and be careful, because it will, you know, damage some things if you don't do it right. So I just test fit it first before you put it in. Okay, so that's where that's going to go. Alright, so I'm going to put some hot glue in there. I'm going to keep it pretty vertical and make sure it's straight. Alright, there's going to be a string that goes from here to there, and I already cut a string already, just so we have to waste our time. But this is what I used. It's a braided fishing line. We got 50-pound test, 12-pound diameter, I guess, but whatever. 50-pound test braided. It looks just like a good antenna. Alright, so this goes in that hole there. It's such a tiny hole. Oh, you know what? I need to get some. He said to just glue it in there. Put a little dab of glue in there. Now, if you can see in here, these pieces kind of got beat up after just bending or turning the plane upside down and all the different builds that we're doing here, so it got beat up. But we're just going to put a dab of glue right in there, and this string is going to come straight back. We're going to put it right between that spot and put the dab of glue in there and hold it in there, and we'll cut that off when it's done. Okay, we'll just trim that up when it gets dry. So let's get that, we'll let that set, and I'll trim it up and we'll come right back. Alright, so it looks done, doesn't it? But there's one subtle thing we got to do next to it. It's the last thing I got to do, and it's one of those things that Jack put in his design. You can keep it subtle if you want, or you can make it more seen. So if you notice in there, there's a very subtle die-cut design there from the laser, and that's the 13th Squadron logo. It just kind of makes it stand out from other planes. So you can leave it like that, the way it is, or you can try to peel it off. So it's got a slight laser cut. So I'm going to try this and see how it looks, and hopefully it looks good. So I'm going to start peeling this stuff off of here. Hopefully it works, because there's a lot of paint. That looks good now. It'll look good after this. That's pretty cool. Look at that. Alright, the other side. Alright, and that's the other side. So that's kind of a neat little thing. We thought of it by doing by seeing some of the commemorative Air Force. They've got that little logo beneath the canopy. So that is a completed kit now. That's pretty awesome, guys. I love the way this came out. I was so happy the way this came out and all the different experiences I learned. I don't know, man. That was a long journey, but it was well worth it, man. I think that looks awesome. Some of the things I would do differently about this now, I think I might have changed the color of the fuselage a little bit to make it a little bit more blue. It's a little too aqua maybe, or if that, I might change the colors of the light areas in the wings to make that, because when you look at it from the side, it doesn't look much different, you know. You can't really tell much different color from this to here, and I wanted that to be a little bit more of a contrast, and it didn't work out that way, but I still like the way it looks, so that's pretty cool. So that's something I would change. I'd probably put more detail. I'd probably end up putting more rivets in the fuselage. I just kind of didn't do it because I was like, I'd put so many rivets in there, and it really looks cool with the rivets, so I wish I would have done more of those. I still probably would have put more detail in this if I wasn't filming it for you guys. It takes a long time to film it and all that kind of stuff, so hope you guys enjoyed all the stuff that I did for you, because that takes a lot of time, but it would be a lot faster if I wasn't filming. So let's see, some of the things to point out. The foam board that you use. As much as I like the flight test foam board, it's great to work with, but I've done plenty of planes and I painted them, and I don't care how much you roughen up that surface, I couldn't be happier with the way this came out, because you put tape on here and the paint just does not come off. I don't care how much you roughen up that surface of the flight test foam board, and you try to get it rough so the paint sticks to it. No matter what you put, you put the blue tape on there, that paint's peeling off. It's just the way it is, you know. But it's a great foam board to build with, but it's not a great foam board to paint on. If you plan on painting and doing scale, use the Dollar Tree foam board and put polyurethane on it. It came out awesome the way I couldn't be happier. I was not worried whatsoever about the paint peeling off it when I put blue tape on there, and I didn't have to touch up once from the blue tape peeling the paint off, and that's awesome. I had to do it all the time with the flight test foam board. So flight test foam board, great foam board to build, but if you want to put scale details and paint something like that, do not use it, because it's just gonna screw up your paint. So don't do that. But Dollar Tree foam board's the way to go if you want to do scale stuff. Scale guys, if you are gonna give me a hard time about not being super scale, too bad. I'm sorry, but I did this for fun. I'm just making it look scale. Doesn't mean it's super scale. It's just I know how you scale guys are, and you just want to tell everybody all the stuff that's wrong with it. So I don't care. I'm having fun with it. So it was a good time building this. So hopefully you guys just appreciate for what I did. Why do this to foam board? Most people put this kind of detail into balsa, but you know why I do a foam board? Because it's a very cheap way to go. I just like to build things and make it look cool. I learned a lot, so if you don't want to spend a lot of money on balsa planes and do scale, you can do it in foam board. You can do it this way. I mean, this came out awesome. I love the way it looks, and it's foam board. You know, a balsa kit like this would cost you so much money, and it lasts longer. But you know what? I've had planes that are 5-6 years, and there's not a mark on them. Don't crash them. If you crash them, they crash. All planes crash, but they look awesome. They fly great. It's just great. You can build it out of foam, and it'll be a fun time. You'll have a good time with it. So, they all ask, why do I do this out of foam board? I'm just, you know why? Because it's fun. That's why. I have a great time with it, and I hope you guys appreciate everything I did with it, because I put a lot of time in this, and hopefully you guys can learn a bunch of tips that I did, and I don't know. It was a good time. So if you guys do want to build this plane and you want to have fun with it, go to 13thsquadron.com. And I'm hoping that this kit's going to be out there. We're going to try to make a kit for you. This is our first kit we've ever made, and it's for laser cut, you know. So if you guys are tired of cutting pieces out, we're going to try to make some things out of laser, and you can build it all you want out of it, and you don't have to worry about cutting it up, and you just build it from the kit. And that's it, guys. I hope you liked it. I'm going to put this on a turntable now, and you guys can see what it looks like on a 360 view. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate all the support from you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Alright, you're going to have to wait to see the 360 video, because by the time we finish this thing and the time that we release this video, we took this plane up for a flight, and it was awesome. So you're going to get to see what this thing looks like when it's flying. It's not that great of a video, but I just wanted to show you that we don't just put this thing on a shelf and let it collect dust after we make it look nice. So we actually like to fly these things. So here's the video, and I'll talk to you after that. Alright, so after all that work, we're going to put this thing up in the air, and hopefully everything works great on it. I hope it works. And now there's no way that I'm going to fly this thing after putting all that work in it. So I'm going to have my son Jack fly it for me, because he knows how to fly. Like I said, I told you, I don't know how to fly these things. I think you, but yeah. So he's going to fly it. I'm going to throw it in the air, and we'll see how it goes. So there we go again, saying see how it goes.
Just the nerves kicking in.
And I'm going to throw it up, and let's go. We already checked all the crap on it.
We'll make sure once again. So up is up, down is down, left is left, right is right, right is right, left. A little bit of throttle check. Oh, throttle cut's still on.
It's got power.
Pretty good. Balance is already balanced, so we're good.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Throw it into the wind.
Let's give it a little second to die down. Be careful.
You ready?
Yep.
That is awesome.
Still so much power even when it's painted. I'll bring it in for a cool little pass. Oh, that's cool. Fortunately, we got trees all behind us, so I'm trying to get those banana passes done well. But I'm favoring flying the airplane over getting a good look of it. That looks pretty cool. It's cool seeing the sun hit it. Trees are pretty tall behind us, so they definitely affect it for getting video. I'll try and give a pass where I can see it with the sun on it. Just gotta find out where it's at. Right out of the sun up there, of course. Just track so straight. Bring it in for a low flat pass here. And that's about how she slows down. That's pretty nice. Just about as scale as you can get there. Minus the cockpit. We'll get to that another time. the best Inman, but it still works. Give it up high for a sec just to see. If you're looking at the ground and you see that, it takes you back in time. I'll do another slow pass into the wind here from up high just to see the perspective. That looks pretty scale, speed and everything. That's cool. You can hear all those inlets and everything on it, cooling the ESC and the engine down. We'll try to do a banana pass here as best as I can. Cool. Another low pass here. Pretty cool. Have I said that enough? Just that line right there reminds me so much of just watching like a Battle of Britain scene, or either from the movie Dunkirk. You know, I know it's not Battle of Britain, but just that look of 109 going by. Just looks so cool. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it in for a landing. Glide. Got one of the wingtips down. A little thin. Well, I'll say as the pilot, flies just like how it does without paint on it. Maybe just a little bit more throttle, but if so, really not that much. And it cruises and flies just the exact same. So, really hope you guys will build one and paint it up just like this, or whatever you want. Please share it. I'd love to see it. It's cool. So thank you.
So that was pretty cool, huh? See, like I told you, don't crash it. Everything's fine, and it looks fine. So we got no scratches on it after first flight, and it was awesome. Hope you enjoyed that. And once again, thanks for watching this. I appreciate all the support. And hey, another thing, we've got kits here. If you're interested, we've got kits to build this if you want. So we had some time to do that too as well. So we're getting ready to release that as well. Please be patient with us. It's just a father-son. We're trying to get this thing started, and we'll see how it goes from here. So thanks again for all the support, and take care. Thanks again.